सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करववहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। हरिः ॐ श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। हरिः ॐ। बोलिए श्री सद्गुरुनाथ महाराज की जय। ॐ सदाशिव समारंभां शंकराचार्य मध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्य पर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां। समस्त जन कल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरम्। ओम श्री चिन्मय सद्गुरवे नमः। सर्व वेदांत सिद्धांत गोचरं तम गोचरं गोविंदं परमानंदं सद्गुरुं प्रणतोस्म्यहम् सद्गुरुं प्रणतोस्म्यहम्। Hari Om. We are looking into the parting words of advice from the teacher to the student who is experiencing a bliss of self-realization. So at the stage where the self is realized completely, even in English grammar, you have realizations of words, of letters. If A, the letter A is written, it can be realized in many ways. A, I, A, as in cat, as in car. So many different ways to realize that letter. In the same way, self-realization. There are no so many different ways to realize the self, because there is only one self and it can be realized. And once when it's realized, the other factors that led to it are no more essential, are no more important. Na desha kalasana digyamadi lakshadyapeksha pratibandha vrittehe samsiddha tattvasya mahatmanosti svavedaneka niyamadhyavastam। न देश काल आसन दिक यमा आदि। Puja Gurudev Swami Chinmayananda ji gives an explanation of all these independent words. Desha, Lord is pervading everywhere. He is present everywhere and in everything. But only in the beginning, the sadhak who cannot think in this manner needs a form and a space to worship that Lord. He cannot think of, noble thoughts will not happen for him in all places. When he goes to a wine shop, only thoughts of wine will come. He will not get thoughts of God or thoughts of Brahman. So for that person, for such a sadhak, a place is required. It is not required anymore for the self-realized being. Kala. Similarly, the time of the day also, all times of the day is not very conducive for thinking certain thoughts. So early in the morning, wake up at Brahma Muhurta and sit for meditation. It is possible that certain thoughts will come at that time and they will be able to meditate easily, unlike at other times of the day when we are not actually very energetic. Even in the Panchangam, even in our calendar, for every 1.5 hours every day, Sattva-guna, Rajoguna, Tamoguna is mentioned. On certain days it begins with Sattva-guna, on certain days it begins with Rajoguna, and certain days of the week begin with Tamoguna. So these qualities are going to be present in the time that we experience. But for the one who has realized, any time is a time for experiencing the self, conducive to meditation. Posture. Initially, a certain posture is prescribed so that meditation becomes easy in that posture. But once the person is established in the self, then it is that posture is not very essential after that. So dik, desha, kala, asana, yama. Dik is the directions. In some religions, especially in Sanatana Dharma, we prescribe that to worship the gods, sit facing east. To worship the guru, sit facing north. So when we do meditation, we can either face east or face north. So this is direction. Facing south is for the Pitrus. All Pitru karma or ancestral actions is done facing south. And facing west is for wealth, acquisition of wealth. So these directions are specified. But for the person of self-realization, no direction can bind him. In any direction he faces, he will get the thoughts of the divine, thoughts of the self. It will happen. Yama. Yama is the basic discipline in life. Ahimsa, meaning non-injury. Satya, speaking the truth. Asteya, non-stealing. Brahmacharya, following the path of controlling the sense organs. Aparigraha, not taking from others. So, this yama is necessary for practice for the student. But for the one who has realized his life is following this discipline only, he is practicing ahimsa naturally, he speaks the truth naturally because he has realized the truth within. There is no need to steal others' things or other people's time or take credit because whatever he wants to achieve, he is able to achieve by himself. And he doesn't need also, his wants are less. Brahmacharya, his life is a natural life of containment, of self-control, because he has discovered the self and everything that he needs is available in the self. There is no need to search for anything outside in the world. Then aparigraha is not holding on to things. Basically, not hoarding is aparigraha. And such a person naturally becomes, his life becomes free of unnecessary possessions because he is not going to hold on to anything. Yama adi, lakshat, lakshadi, apeksha. These, he is not wanting these kinds of rules. Apeksha, apratibandha vrittehe. His thoughts have got no obstruction. Whatever that self-realized person wishes to feel, wishes to experience, wishes to do, he will be able to do because he has realized the self, and the ultimate power that makes everything happen is realized by him. And so he is not dependent on these outer factors for his good life. Samsiddha tattvasya mahatmanaha asti. The Mahatma or the great being, Mahatma is one who has included everybody in his life. Whether people, they lie or they cheat or they play politics or they're ignorant or they're chatterboxes, whatever qualities they may have, this Mahatma, this person who has realized the self, accommodates everybody. He is happy with everybody. He is happy in everybody's presence. He accepts everybody. He understands where their ignorance comes from. And so he has no questions. He is not irritated about them. Swavedane ka niyamadi avastha. Niyama is shaucha, santosha, tapas, swadhyaya, ishvara pranidhana. Shaucha is cleanliness, cleanliness within and without. Santosha is contentment. Tapas is austerities. Swadhyaya is study about the self. Ishvara Pranidhana is surrendering to the divine. Swavedane. When I come to know myself, where are these requirements for all? If I want to know who I am, I just need to know it. I don't need to keep my room clean to know who I am. If I want to know who I am, and I've already known who I am, then I don't need to be content to know who I am, because I know I am that consciousness. I don't need to study the Upanishads or chant something to know who I am. Niyamadi avastha ka. Where is the need for all these kind of disciplines to be followed for the person who has realized the self? Wherever the man of perfection lives, that becomes a pilgrim center for spiritual instruction and solace, says Pujya Gurudev Swami Chinmaya ji in the commentary for this verse. Ghatoyam iti vijñatum niyamah konvapekshate vina pramana sushtutvam yasmin sati padarthadhihi. To know that this is a jar, there is a jar there, there is a vase. To know that there is a vase here, what is the niyama that is required? Vina pramana sushtutvam. My eyes have to be clear. When, when my eyes are clear, only then I can see this jar. In the same way, to know that this is a self, pramana sushtutvam. I should have the clear thought from the Upanishads and from the words of the Guru about the self. When that thought is clear, when that thought is steady, then what other rules and regulations are required to know the self? When I want to see myself in the mirror, I just have to go and stand in front of the mirror, and the mirror has to be clean. Then the person is revealed in the mirror. In the same way, if I want to see the true self, I have to know through the Upanishads the nature of the self, through the words of the Guru. I have to contemplate on that. I have to meditate on that. And yes, I know I am that. What else is required? What other pramana or what other means of knowledge is required? Ayamatma nitya siddha pramane sati bhasate na desham napi va kalam na shuddhim vapyapekshate. Ayam atma nitya siddha. This atma or this I, this self, is the eternal truth. It manifests. Where does this show itself? In the right means of knowledge. When the pramana is right, the Shabda pramana is from the Upanishads and explained by the teacher. When that is very clear, then I know who I am. It is dependent neither on place or time nor outward purity. Na desham. If I go to London, will I know myself? No. Or a holy place. If I go to Ayodhya, will I know myself? Yes. If I have that Upanishadic knowledge and the words of the Guru, then even without going to Ayodhya, I can sit where I am to realize the self. Or do I have to go to Kashi? Na desham. Na apiva kalam. Should I get up at 4:30 in the morning to sit up and meditate to realize the self? Can it not happen at 12 o'clock in the afternoon? Na kalam. Na shuddhim. Should I be very pure? Should I take a good bath? Should I feel very fresh? Should I make my surroundings clean to know myself? When I go into a dark room, to say that yes, I am there in this place, does that room have to be clean? Do I have to be clean and fresh to know if I am here? Not required. I am When somebody calls out to you in a dark room and asks, "Are you there?" you do not say, "Wait, I cannot see. Let me bring a lamp and check where I am." We just say, "Yes, I am here." Where does that knowledge come from? That knowledge comes from the self. Devadattōhamītyetat vijñānam nirapekshakam tadvat brahma vidopyasya brahmaham iti vedanam. A person's name is Devadatta. It is a very common name used in the Vedanta texts. Devadatta aham. A person's name is Devadatta. To know that he is Devadatta, does he have to go to some place and sit there and meditate and then tell, "Yes, my name is Devadatta"? Does he have to clean his surroundings or clean himself? Does he have to go to a temple and pray to know that he is Devadatta? When the teacher asks, "Devadatta, present ma'am," he can say, "Devadatta aham iti vijñānam." Vijñānam means Vishesha Jnanam. Karthik is not going to tell, I'm Devadatta." Or Krishna is not going to answer on behalf of Devadatta. It is Devadatta's Vijnanam. It is Devadatta's special knowledge that he is Devadatta. Nirapekshakam. It is not dependent on anything. It is not dependent on the mood of the teacher. It is not dependent on whether he is wearing the uniform neatly or not. "I am Devadatta," he can say right away without any support. Tadvat, in the same way, Brahmavidaha api asya, even for the Brahmavidaha, the one who knows the Brahman, he can say Brahma aham iti vedanam. He knows very clearly, I am that Brahman. When you say I am Sharanya or I am so and so, I am so and so, we identify with a name and we mention that name. The person who has realized the Brahman, he does not identify with anything else. He identifies with the fact that he is Brahman, and that knowledge is very firm at all times. So even in the midnight, when we wake that person up and ask, "Who are you?" he will say, "I am Brahman," very easily. It is not a matter of pride, but it is a matter of fact. Bhanuneva jagat sarvam bhasate yasya tejasam anatmakam asattucham kim no tasyava bhasakam. The nature of the Brahman has got the effulgence of the sun. It causes the entire fallacious, erroneous perception, unreal, all the experiences that we are not talking about the world outside. We are talking about the world of thoughts and feelings that the world outside projects in us. Anatmakam asat tucham. The projection of the world, the thoughts, the feelings and the emotions is not I. It is asat. It has got no reality. Tucham. It is of no importance. It is like a blade of grass which you can dismiss easily. Kim no tasya avabhasakam. The objects of the world borrow the light from the sun and reflect it. Every object, for example, if this flask is there, this flask is evident to us because of the light in this room. The universe of the objects, emotions and thoughts, and the equipment of the body, mind and intellect all exist and shine forth, borrowing their existence from the brilliance of consciousness. Objects, emotions and thoughts, body, mind and intellect. Everything is shining. Everything is revealing itself. We know I have this body. We know we have this mind. We know we have this intellect. We know we have this breath. How do we know? By what light do we know? We know by the light of consciousness. If consciousness does not function through the equipment, that equipment is considered dead. If consciousness is not manifesting through this body is not considered to be live anymore. To know the sun, no torchlight is required. To know consciousness, you don't need any instrument. You don't need the mind. You don't need to meditate. You don't need to contemplate. You don't need to decide and divide and segregate to know which is consciousness. It is an immediate knowledge, yes. Even though we may study about consciousness by Viveka, what is I and what is not I, in a matter of a second, when somebody asks, "Where are you?" we say, "I am here." We are able to say that immediately. We don't segregate. No, this is the body. The body is here. In the body, the breath is there. The mind with its likes and dislikes are there. The intellect which divides between what is outside and what is inside is there. The one that watches the intellect is I. We don't say all that. Say, I am here. It's immediate knowledge. Veda Shastra Puranani Bhutani Sakalanyaphi Enarthavanti Tam Kimno Vijñātāram Prakashayet. Veda, Shastra, Puranani, Bhutani, Sakalani Api, Yena Artha Vanti. The Vedas, the Shastras, the Puranas, and all other beings in this world have got life, have got meaning only because of this eternal consciousness, that subject or I, which is consciousness. It is I consciousness that enlivens all beings. When we say enlivens all beings, it is not to say that the other person is existing because of my consciousness. It is true in the sense the other person is reflected in my mind and I am perceiving his existence because of my consciousness, because of consciousness only. Without consciousness, there is no possibility of perceiving the existence of anything in this universe. There is no possibility of studying the Shastras, studying the Vedas, studying the Upanishads, studying the Puranas, and relating to and understanding the meaning of all that is not possible without the presence of consciousness. At the time of Samadhi, it is meaningless to discuss what is that because of which I am experiencing this infinite consciousness. That infinite consciousness itself is a very cause for the mind to become quiet in the state of Samadhi. And that very cause by which the mind has become quiet, we cannot ask, why am I experiencing that infinite consciousness? By what means? What is that reason by which I experience infinite consciousness? We cannot ask. We are experiencing infinite consciousness because of infinite consciousness and by no other means. Esha swayam jyotirananta shaktihi atma prameyah sakalanubhutihi yameva vijñāya vimukta bandho jayatyayam brahma viduttamaha. Esha swayam jyotihi ananta shaktihi. We are looking for power outside. We are looking for power from people. We are going to ministers. We are going to people in power to gain some power to get things done. But we have power within ourselves. And what is the nature of that power? Ananta Shaktihi. It is endless power which we can draw from ourselves. Swayam Jyotihi, the self-shining Atman, which is endless in its power. Atma, I. Atma, the word is not some blob of energy that is floating somewhere. Atma means I. The word I, which we use to refer to ourselves, Nan in Tamil, Nenu in Telugu, Nyan in Malayalam, and in Hindi, मैं, all Atma. The word I means self, Atma. Aprameyaha. This I cannot be measured. It is immeasurable in nature. Sakala anubhutihi. It is the cause for all experience that we that we have, and it is directly experienced by all. Even a small child, a 2-year-old child, where are you? You call and ask the child, I am here, the child will say. Yameva vijnaya vimukta bandhaha. By knowing the self, the person is free from all bondage. What is bondage? Thoughts, feelings, emotions, actions, situations, people, and objects which are causing a depression in our consciousness, which are causing a depression in our mind. That is bandha. Vimukta bandhaha. I become free. Yameva vijnaya vimukta bandhaha. Jayati ayam Brahma with Uttamottamaha. This Uttama Brahmavid, the one who knows the self, the best of one who knows the self, Jayati. Such a person is victorious because they know the reality, they know the truth of the self, and they are not dependent on anything else for their power or for their existence. They know the true source of existence is there in the self. न खिद्यते नो विषयैः प्रमोदते न सज्जते नापि विरज्यते च स्वस्मिन् सदा क्रीडति नन्दति स्वयं निरन्तरानन्द रसेन तृप्तः न खिद्यते. Such a person who realizes the self is not suffering or does not go through grief. What is grief? Pujya Gurudev says, grief is created by the absence of objects of one's liking. If I eat some rice today with something called sambar, and the person who has done it has just, maybe they are bored or they are tired, they think this work is too much, with no love also, it is made without any salt, without any chili powder or sambar powder. Just dal is there and vegetables are boiled and put there, and I'm eating that, and I'm expecting something very tasty to eat, and I get to eat this. The mind goes into a state of grief because I'm really not having something that I love to have, that is tasty food at that moment. So, such a person who knows the self will not go through grief because his joy is not dependent on that sambar at all. His joy is dependent on the nature of the self within, the power of the self within. Na vishayehi pramodate. When he gets something very great that he really loves, he is not excited. Na sajjate napi virajyate cha. He is not averse to anything, nor he is attracted to anything. He is neither averse nor attracted. Swasmin sada kridati. He plays in himself, which means he takes joy in contemplation on the self. The light of the self, it's a very beautiful game. If we know to play that game, whatever thought comes to our mind, the thought is enlivened by the light of consciousness. And it might be a good thought, it might be a great thought. Without getting lost in the thought, if I am able to see that it is a light of consciousness that is casting its reflection on the thought, and because of that, I am able to see the thought, and I let that thought go, and the next thought comes, again I go into this game. Light of consciousness falling on the thought. It is like a small child playing with a torchlight. It's so exciting for the small child, or hitting the torchlight in the dark, and the vast expanse of some garden or some dark area is just diffused with light, and moving it here and there, seeing the play of that light here and there. That is why light is always fascinating to us. We like light shows because we are consciousness, and consciousness is always casting its light on. It's not moving, it is steadily casting its light, and everything else is moving in its presence. So, swasmin sada kridati. This person, suppose there is a cough. Instead of worrying about why the cough is there and what is the pain it is causing, what is the disturbance it's causing, why is it not going away, why is it so persistent, instead of thinking about all that, if I begin to contemplate on the light of awareness, which is casting its light on this thought, the cough thought, I have the cough. This cough thought, I have a cough thought. I am able to see that. And what is revealing that? Consciousness. If I start playing a game with that, this cough can take me to a state of meditation. Swasmin sada kridati. Nandati swayam. Kridati is in the light of awareness within. Nandati is in the light of awareness in this universe, in all other people around us. Swayam. Nirantara ananda rasena truptaha. Such person is very content with the joy of extreme, complete and non-changing bliss, eternal bliss. Truptaha. He is very content with the juice of joy that is experienced at all times. It is not pleasure, it is not some animalistic excitement, but it is like the joy that comes out of thinking. The prefrontal cortex of the brain, which human beings have, through which they think and they achieve and they experience some joy because of all that. It is that joy of knowing the self that the person experiences. Let us see if this verse is complete with this. No, there's some more verses. Kshudham dekavyatham tyaktvam balakridati vasthuni tathaiva vidwan ramate nirmamo niraham sukhi. Kshudham, the little child, can feel hungry, but it does not bother about the hunger. Dehavyatham. Dehavyatham means the difficulty of the body also is there, because food is not there. There's a lot of discomfort going on playing. Balaha kridati vastuni. The child is playing with objects irrespective of the fact that hunger is there and difficulty is also experienced in the body. Tatha eva, in the same way, vidwan ramate. The one who knows the truth is experiencing the joy, the bliss. What? Nirmamaha, niraham sukhi. Niraham is hunger. Nirmama is hunger. Niraham is dehavyatha. The difficulties of the body, the difficulties of existence in this body is forgotten. Niraham. Nirmama, the difficulties of not being able to obtain all that we want to obtain is also forgotten by the person who has realized the self, because he is reveling in the bliss of the self at all times. With this, we conclude today, and we will begin tomorrow with the next 9 verses. Om Sarvesham Swastir Sarvesham Shantir सर्वेषां पूर्णं भवतु, सर्वेषां मङ्गलं भवतु, सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः, सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः, सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु, मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत्. ॐ असतो मा सद्गमय, तमसोर्मा ज्योतिर्गमय, मृत्योर्मा अमृतं गमय. ओम पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते, पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते. ओम शांति शांति शांति. हरि ओम. श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः. हरि ओम. बोलिए श्री सद्गुरुनाथ महाराज की जय. हर नमः पार्वती पतये. हर हर महादेव. हरि ओम.